All right, so I guess we're live here. Today I'm joined with history's shittiest disciple, also or short for HSD. And today we're going to discuss or debate whether meat should be illegal. HSD, if you can, please introduce yourself to everyone. All your info is in the description box down below, but in case anybody doesn't know who you are, introduce yourself, all that stuff, all that good stuff.
So I talk about a lot of different things from any political contentious nature, veganism, philosophy, masculinity. I more or less just share my opinions and thoughts on the internet. I'm part of a lot of different communities, whether this be the atheist community, the red pill community, and my goal is to really try and bring forth thought-provoking arguments, honest conversation, and just anything that I do to try to challenge my view and research and debate and that's basically what I'm
Cool.
about.
So, just for the record, you are vegan, correct?
Yes. Ethical vegan.
Right, we're both vegan. So, just so that everyone knows, uh, we're both on the same page. But something interesting did come up in regards to the consumption of meat, or whether meat should be illegal or legal. You are taking the stance that it is illegal. Would you be able to expand on that? On why do you think meat should be or shouldn't be illegal?
So like it depends on which point we want to make it illegal. Like the end goal we all have is to make it illegal. But at what point? Like are we going to do it 51%, 55% of the population being okay with it? Because that's one stance we could take. Now the other stance we could take is it doesn't matter to the popularity, we should still make it illegal. More or less, my short and simplified stance is I believe that we should make meat illegal when we start to get closer to 80, 90, 95, 99% of the population wanting to make it illegal. Because I think if we make it illegal, not only are we going to create a black market, there'll be increased crime rate and blah blah blah. But I can go a little more in detail on that in the
By all means.
conversation. Um, mind if I just sort of slightly derail this for a little bit? It's irrelevant. Mind if I just slightly derail it? It's still
Go ahead,
relevant.
man.
All
Absolutely,
right,
go.
so I would like now if you want to, you can just say we're not going to talk about it, but I wouldn't mind throwing out my definition. It's something I'm trying to popularize, my definition of veganism, as well as just kind of like what I try to stay in. It's like because a lot of people have different definitions of veganism. This is just what I try to move towards.
Hmm.
Is that all right, or do you just want to focus on this right now?
Um, I would go ahead, man. I say let's let the reins go, man. Go ahead.
All right. So I have like a note. But I'm gonna disinclude the note. But basically, my definition there's five main tenets, and I know we're all a lot of different vegans have like different goals within the vegan community of what we wish to like obtain. And I'm not expecting natural. Actually, you know what? Fuck. I'm actually gonna put this not in here, but I'm going to go to the actual discussion being said, and I'm gonna post it here so everyone can see. One sec, would you?
Hmm.
Because I know within veganism, there's a lot of different definitions. There's a lot of different takes. There's a lot of different emotions that are that are rising in the vegan community, and there's a lot of different perspectives that we have. But I really want everyone to be able to see my definition, anyways, because it's like what I'm trying to work towards. And I know it's a lot, but in my opinion, veganism in and of itself is sort of a system of ethics, um, where there's five main things that are involved. And just give me a second, I'm almost done here.
Yeah, I see. I see there on the chat what you're putting. But yeah,
Yeah,
expand.
yeah. Or an easier way to say it is like if you look up Wikipedia, like any definition, postmodernism, modernism, like objective moral realism, any definition, they're usually quite big. But the problem is everyone has this idea that we're supposed to make veganism this small, short thing, where I think veganism is really complex. And I'm trying to move towards my personal philosophy of veganism. So if anyone's in the chat, they can read it. I'm not going to expand on it too much because I think that'd be kind of derailing. So a lot of people, their definition is going to be, well, the end of exploitation of animals. Working hard to try and make it illegal. I don't know. But this is just what I'm trying to move towards. And I think there's certain things we have in common. And
Oh,
I know it's kind of a bit of a derail, but I just wanted to say that. And I'm trying to stay true to it within my definition, like my goals. I'm sorry if that was a mouthful.
no, I'm trying to actually comprehend everything. I mean, you're talking a lot about veganism and all that stuff. So I'm trying to see how this actually all connects together.
Oh,
I'm a little confused.
I'm
Sorry.
I'm just saying like when it comes down to it, I know it was kind of like a little bit of an off topic. Where it
Yeah.
comes down to it is I'm just trying to say I don't know what your definition is and what your goals is as a vegan.
Oh, okay.
So you can expand on your goals and your belief system as a vegan. And
Yeah,
if
okay.
anyone wants to, they can read mine right now.
Gotcha. Okay, I see what you're saying. All right. It's pretty simple for the most part. I just want the world to be vegan. Uh,
Okay.
that's as simple as that. Is it going to be perfect? Is everyone going to be? Can everyone actually? Is it feasible for everyone? Not necessarily. The starving kid in Africa is that has no choice but to eat, like, I don't know, frogs or something like that, because that's all he's got, and
Well,
maybe that's technic. I mean, it is. I mean, some people would say that is vegan, but I'm just saying someone like that, I would. I'm not going to bitch, but someone like in a first world nation, developed nations where there's access to food readily and easily available. I think those nations should be vegan.
okay, so me too. Now the question comes into play like at what point. So I'm going to take the guess that you're not going to use a particular definition to justify your position, which is good. Completely. Like some people could say, "Oh, my definition is the end of exploitation, so I want to make it legal as possible." Okay, well, define exploit, blah blah blah, blah define it. But I'm going to avoid that because you're keeping it simple. But I wanted to get to here is like, at what point do we want to make it illegal to eat meat when we have 51% of the popular vote, 52%, 55? Like, what point are we going to make it illegal?
I think it should be illegal right now.
Okay.
I don't think percentages matter at all.
All right. This is just how I look at it from a practical standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
The implications of this.
Mm-hmm.
Do I want that? Ideally, in my heart of hearts, yes. But would I practically do that? That is no. And the reason being is because I think it would create higher crime rate. I think if we made it illegal, I think people would farm puppies or other animals. And then, worst of all, I think there's a possibility. There's a strong possibility whoever's vegan is going to get voted out of office. When I think that it could even destroy the popularity of whichever party has the most amount of influence from vegans, whether this be the right or the left in the future, because things can change as of right now. Right now, it's the left has a little more support, but it could change rapidly over time. And in short, I think like a better alternative would be a lot of different things, but that's kind of getting off subject. Basically, I don't think it's actually going to be maintained, as well as something else I'd like to say is I think there's even a possibility of non-vegans eventually interpreting the ending of the animal holocaust as violence towards non-vegans from vegans to the state. So what I'm trying to say here is I wouldn't be surprised in a world where if it was illegal to eat meat tomorrow, that non-vegans would potentially even start to riot or physically seek out people who are vegan to hurt them. Like, and I'm not trying to say this as an appeal to emotion fallacy. I'm just saying when we're such a small minority, I could easily see this happening.
You could see like some type of uprise against veganism that you think it would be bad. Like, let's say, for example, tomorrow, some politician went in there. Like, not that this is possible, but let's say the with a proper educational process where everyone sees everything that's going on, somehow through some miracle, all the politicians, everyone agrees. At least at the what do you call it, at Capitol Hill, that we're going to make it illegal because it's too resource intensive. It costs too much money. It's a waste, and it's destroying the planet, and it's horrible, obviously, for the animals. We're making it illegal. Tough shit, everyone. Suck it up. You think that would cause like massive riots, and it would cause people to detract away from veganism? Is that what you're trying to say?
A little bit. I'm saying that is a potential that could happen. I'm not saying it is the case that could happen. I'm saying that could very easily happen, and I think there's a good chance it would happen. In particularly, would you like to keep going, or may I respond?
What's up?
May I respond, or would you like to keep going? You asked me a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, just it's like my particular stance on this is there's a few things. One of which is we can logically explain something to somebody, but there's an emotional problem to it. So whenever you have a discussion with somebody, there's more than just the logical aspect. Somebody can hear something, but they cannot feel something. So This is the same thing when you're debating religion. Someone might be, or debating any subject or philosophy. Somebody could hold a belief based off of an emotional stance as well as a logical stance. So even if we explain everything to someone logically, we then have to try and get them to connect emotionally and logically at the same time. While at the same time, what was it? Getting someone to challenge their addiction, which is number two. So sure, we could explain something logically to somebody, but when they're have an emotional standpoint as well, and then an addiction, it's kind of like, imagine if everyone was taking a certain drug, and if 95% of the population, 98% of the population thought it was legal, it should be legal to ideally have this drug. Not if they practically want it. It should be legal. If we took that drug away from that addict, I could easily see them going crazy. I mean, like when I first stopped eating cheese, I nearly knocked out some guy in the street for his pizza. Like, not that I ever did, but I was like, I was going crazy addict mode when I first got off animal products. I was really addicted. But
Right.
like, I'm not saying everyone's going to be like that, but I'm just saying this is
Yeah,
a reality. We're dealing with addicts.
sure, we are. We are dealing with food addicts. I 100% agree with you, but it's a different type of addiction. It's not the type of addiction that I think is going to cause, like, for example, a crack addict to shoot someone. A crack addict will, not every crack addict, but a crack addict and people who are addicted to like really legitimate hard drugs. If you're making, I don't know if that's the type of comparison that you're making, because people do treat food as a drug. I do agree. However, it's a different type of drug. I don't think it's going to cause people to ride on the street because they don't have any cheese or some dead animal to eat. I don't think people would do that because your body, it's not a physical addiction. Because yes, there is an emotional addiction to it, and there's a psychological process behind all that, but it's not an actual physical addiction. When it comes to like hardcore drugs and all that stuff, the reason why people will do crazy shit is because they physically feel like they need it, or they physically do need it actually, because they start having withdrawals. There's no such thing as a lack of meat withdrawal or lack of cheese withdrawal. Now, you said you had this one incident, or not an incident, a potential incident where you almost.
It was actually about 3. It was about 3 months with cheese, where I was actually I was going fucking crazy. Like at times when I started thinking about cheese, my body would start shaking. There's actually research that been put into cheese that the chemicals in cheese or certain dairy, there's a slightly addictive drug to it. But cheese, it's concentrated, so I'd argue it very much is so very similar to drug addiction. It's kind of like sugar. It's not the same thing as heroin, but it's somewhere on that spectrum. It's not as bad. By no means is it as bad. That wasn't the point. My point is, it's still the addiction. I think there is a physical addiction, just not on the same extent. But then there's also an emotional attachment with that as well, where people think that it's. So then we're dealing with these two problems. So I agree with you. It's not as bad, but that's just it. I disagree about the whole cheese thing. I can send you some studies on Discord afterwards. I have in my archive, but it would be kind of a waste of time to pull that up right now, unless you want me to.
It's all good. I believe you. I'm just saying. I don't think I've never heard of someone who. I'm just saying this is complete anecdotal. Even though I'm not saying that that casomorphines don't exist. Somebody actually just said that. I know casomorphines. I think it was Dr. Neil Bernard. I did zero research on this, by the way. I don't like to do this a lot, but I'm just saying. I think it was Dr. Neil Bernard. He's a vegan doctor, all that stuff. He said that there is such a thing as casomorphines in cheese, or it's actually just in dairy and cow's milk. And what it does have some type of addictive quality in it, so that it forces the baby cow to want more of it to come back, and it kind of has a similar effect with humans. Now,
Okay, shit.
I get it. Like, huh?
Whoa, on my end, it kind of just cut out a little bit. So I heard like dairy cow, and then that just kind of went blank. Could you just repeat that? I'm so sorry.
It's all good. It's probably my computer. It's all jacked
Yeah, it's
up.
all good. It's okay.
But anyways, what I was saying is that essentially is that it's called casomorphines, right? And the addictive qualities of casomorphines, which is found in cow's milk, is it's put, supposedly, I guess nature put it in that way, or cows are made that way, so that the baby cow can go back to the mom, right? So that the baby cow doesn't, starve to death or whatever. That's the whole purpose. And again, this is all like from what I heard from Dr. Neil Bernard. I haven't done any research on it, and I'm not saying it's not true or it is true. This is all I've heard. Now, again, to say that it has addictive qualities to the point where it's going to cause like some type of massive riot and people are going to be punching each other in the face and killing each other over some secretion that came out of the infected udders of a raped and abused cow, I think is a little excessive, if you ask me. I've never seen someone do that. I've never seen a vegan go crazy over it. I've seen people crave it, but not to the point where they're getting aggressive over it. Personally, I'm just saying this is all anecdotal, and I don't think there's any data to any of
that's
it.
fine. That's fine. That's fine. I'm bringing up a hypothetical. This is like I'm not saying this is absolute. If I said this is absolute, that would be ludicrous if I said this is absolute. I'm just saying like these are possibilities I could see happening.
Okay.
Because wait, did you want to continue or can I respond? Or?
Go ahead, man.
Okay, so obviously, the first thing I brought up was the hypothetical of people rioting. The other hypothetical I brought up was, whichever political party, let's say, gets into power. Let's say if it's the Democrat Party is going to make it illegal, or Republican Party, I don't know. Whichever party makes it illegal. If right now when there's such a small portion of popularity for it, their popularity would tank. The opposition would probably easily get into power, and they'd probably promise to, make it illegal once again. And then on top of that, the added cost of incarcerating people who are going to try and continue to eat meat illegally, because the problem isn't if it's illegal or illegal. The problem is people's morality and emotional stance on it, based off logic and emotion. And obviously, once again, addiction plays a role, but right as of right now, I could easily see like maybe at least 5% of the population continuing to illegally try and eat meat, and we'd probably end up trying to shut down puppy mills or other backyard farms or basement farms, and like I just more or less that would probably add to the cost of jail incarceration. And we don't have an example of this happening in the modern day in like the first world, because veganism in the first world, like how passionate a lot of vegans are, this new social justice movement is relatively new. So we don't have an example of someone making it illegal, so we can then study what happens immediately afterwards, if everyone's going to sit down and take it. But realistically, I don't think everyone's going to take it. And even if people don't riot, I think the party that passed that policy would lose popularity, and the opposition would get into power, and they would do the exact opposite. Make it legal again. So I think right now, the best we'd have like is a 4-year period where some people would be arrested, some people would be potentially killed for trying to own like an illegal farm, and we'd also have great animosity within social discourse towards vegans, even greater than we do now, which I don't think is going to really help with marketability. But anyways, I'll let you continue.
Yeah, that's cool. There was a lot there to uncover. So obviously this is all hypothetical, so we can't actually we don't have any data for this or anything. We don't even have a single nation that's actually done this. So I agree there. Now you did say you would see about potentially, again, this is all hypothetically speaking, about 5 to 10% of people still consuming animals illegally, right? If it is made illegal, right? And we'll get to the political party thing and all that stuff in a bit. But if you still see 5 to 10%, the way I see it, that's a lot better than 99% or whatever the number, or 90% here in the U.S. I think there's 93% in the U.S. that still do eat animal products. So to me, I think that's much, much better than 5 to 10% personally. I think that's much, much better. By making it illegal, now all factory farms would have to shut down. Okay, and it would also free up a bunch of new resources, a bunch more money. It would free up a whole lot for this nation. Now, will there be more incarcerations now? Will people start going to jail now because now they're hustling meat or dead animals and all that stuff? Maybe. I think that's a cost of doing what's right. I mean, I'm sure the same thing kind of happened, and you're probably going to see where I'm going to go with this, when it came to when the slaves were freed here back in 1865. I'm sure people were still, racist, and people were still trying to own slaves, and all that stuff was still going on. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't do what's right just because there may be an increase in incarcerations or people just doing the wrong thing. Now, in regards to the political parties, will like that pendulum swing is what you're saying. You have like one side, whatever side it is, it doesn't really matter. It says, yeah, it's illegal, it's going to stay illegal, and then we're going to have the other side, and then that pendulum's going to swing to the other side and say that we're going to legalize it now all of a sudden. I wouldn't think. I mean, I would hope that wouldn't happen. I mean, that's a good theory that it might actually happen. The way this nation is, you know, how things so drastically change every so often from one party to the next. That's. So, I don't know if you want to expand a little bit more on that.
So, may I respond?
Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I want to say first off, thank you for how charitable this conversation was, and so something I want to expand on. A great counterpoint you did have was the freeing up of resources, because it would cost more to restart all this agriculture again. But I think what would be a better long-term solution to killing the animal agriculture industry, I think for the long run, is just by ending subsidies, because immediately plant-based products is going to become cheaper, plant-based milk is going to become cheaper, and when mommy and daddy goes to the grocery market, they're going to look at plant-based milk, you know, $5, $10 cheaper. They're going to look at plant-based, you know, Gardein beef or Beyond Beef. Actually, I buy Gardein all the time. I love Gardein. I recently just tried their fish and chips. It wasn't that bad. I'm sorry, that was off topic. But my point another point I'm trying to get to here is, even though that is probably the best counter argument I've heard so far, is the freeing up of land and what would happen.
Money too.
Yeah. But the problem that I'm having here is the opposition party that would make it. So once, let's say that hypothetically, the vegan party made it illegal, whether this is a Democrat or the Republican Party, they made it illegal to farm animals. The opposition party would probably immediately try and get money from lobbyists anywhere in the first world. In any way they can, they probably get money from lobbyists to reinstitute animal agriculture and start refunding it. Now, the point that I'm trying to get you to here is, I think a long-term solution is just by defunding it, and it would naturally start to die off that way. And I think that's more of a long-term solution that would probably be sustained. And I think also a lot of meat eaters and a lot of omnivores, I think a lot of them would also eventually maybe even get into that bandwagon. Like right now in Canada, we have a party called the PPC, which is promising. Now, I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. But I haven't done enough research. But from what I understand, they're promising to try and end all private subsidies. And I've actually reached out to some members of the PPC on social media, and they've told me that they want to end all subsidies towards all private companies, including like chicken farms. He gave an example. So he didn't say dairy farms. I'm not sure, but I'm just saying that there's libertarians that can get behind that. There's actual support that could maybe keep that going for a long period of time, that could eventually phase it out.
So, pretty much just getting rid of the subsidies is what you mean?
I think it's a more long-term solution to eventually completely phase it out.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
But that's just it, though. Like, if I had to choose, like, subsidies, we can both agree on. But the thing is my point that I'm trying to get to here is, if we make it illegal, I personally just think the opposition party will come back into power, refund the animal agriculture industry, and will start pumping money into it, because now they have a new lobbyist organization that's more dedicated towards them. And don't get me wrong, you're still going to have that problem if we defund it, right? But I think if we defund animal agriculture industry, I think it's a message that could eventually gain more popular support across parties.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Now, I will say that, let's say in this scenario that you're speaking of, that if that pendulum did swing to that side, you know, from you have whichever party says that it is illegal, and then this other party is saying, we're going to make it legal again because it's my right to exploit other sentient beings for whatever sensory pleasure I feel is right for me. And in that case, if we want to incentivize people, I mean, you've just freed up all this money. I mean, what? I think people would just have to be educated in that process. I think they have to understand the amount of money that goes into it. And just as a quick stat to you, $1.02 trillion Let me repeat that. $1.02 trillion goes to corn subsidies to feed cows alone. That's just corn or cows and livestock. So, and that's on the low end, by the way. That was being taking extra conservative numbers. So I think people do care as well too in regards to their money. I do believe that people like to be incentivized. So in that event, to keep that from happening, from keeping another, that pendulum from swinging, I think the people first and foremost need to be educated on the process, on what's going on here, that it's not necessary, it's not essential, and it's actually bad for you, and it's bad for the planet, it's bad, and obviously it's bad for the animals. And number two, it's costing way too much money, like way too much money. And again, we're just talking, what I just gave you, that number right there, was just based on one food item that is fed to livestock and cows. $1 trillion, which I cannot believe, of our tax dollars is going straight towards feeding this nation. What if we just gave that money back to the people, or better yet, we didn't take it from them to begin with? And if you ask me, right, what's going to happen is, if that pendulum does want to swing, you just got to realize what you're doing. One, first of all, you're supporting exploitation. That's like going, if you ask me, it's like going back to doing something that's extremely wrong. That's like taking rights away from like women or some shit like that. It's absolutely horrible to do something like that. Or, let's bring back slavery. It's horrible. It would be horrible if that did happen. What I'm saying is, and if on top of that, you're also going to have to pay more taxes now. And I know people don't like paying taxes. I sure as fuck don't. But do you have anything on that to say?
First off, I'm already relatively well aware of the numbers, so if you have any stats and anything on, please DM it to me, because I have an archive. I've actually archived a lot of information from the Animal Crime Link, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. So I'm well aware that Cornell University put this out in the late 90s. Was it 1997, 1998? So I'm well aware that if basically back then, if the United States took all the food that they were giving to animals, they could feed 800 million people in the United States. If they sold it overseas, it would be an extra $80 billion in profit. Now it's, what was it, $1 trillion for corn stuff. That is fucking insane. Oh, sorry about that.
You're good, man.
I had an alarm.
You're a popular guy. Oh, that's almost calling you.
No. So basically what ended up happening, I'm not going to sit here, like I totally agree with you for the cost of everything. But as far as when it comes down to it, is a large portion of my argument is I think this stance would be more sustainable for the long run for killing the animal agriculture industry. And honestly, making 5% was just a rough number I gave off the top of my head. Like, one of my friends who's a historian, now I have not researched I've researched a little bit about the golden age of Islam, but they actually consistently apparently tried to make slavery illegal. And each time they did, they had a massive riot. And then they kept reinstituting slavery. Like, this is just where it comes down to it all. Like, there have been examples, apparently, of people having uprisings when slavery was made illegal. So, I think that's one example to kind of get my point across. But a large portion of what I'm trying to say here is when it comes down to the long-term route of killing the animal agriculture industry, that $1 trillion could just end up being funded back into the incarceration system, because let's just say hypothetically 50% of people, 20% of people decide to keep eating meat. 20%, that's a minority, but that's still a lot of fucking people going to jail. So I still see the cost greatly increasing. And not only that, but also, like, I think you really underestimate the amount of hostility that will be born out of making it illegal. Because these people think it's their God-given right to eat meat. As stupid as that is, as much as people believe that it was their God-given right to enslave black people, it's not the question of it being moral. For me, the question is what is going to be, what will have longevity? What is a solution with longevity for a long-term solution? And right now, I don't believe it to be making it illegal. I believe that's what we need to work towards. I think we need to work towards education. I think we need to work towards educating children. But more importantly, I think we need to end up changing how they feel on an emotional level and challenging their addiction first. Because I think if we don't, there's all these possibilities that could be born out of the from making it illegal. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, those are actually great points. Those are really, really good points. I did want to touch on uh, what you brought up, was it Egypt? You said, or was it Israel? I'm sorry.
No,
Which one?
no, no. It was Golden Age of Islam. So if you don't know about this,
Islam.
Islam. So a lot of people think Islam's really bad right now, but Islam originally, like not originally, but like, it had a golden age of scientific revolution. Did you know about that or?
I have no
So
idea.
algebra actually comes from the word Arabic. One of the greatest scientists who actually figured out about how light works through our eyes was Arabic. So they had a lot of very early machines and mechanisms. And during this golden age of Islam, before they collapsed back into Islamic fascism because of the Mongolian Empire collapsing and different political organizations, basically, apparently, at least from what I've heard, they've actually tried. Now, I could be wrong. That they've actually tried to make slavery illegal, and when they did try to make it illegal, there were uprisings. And this is just from a friend of mine who's a historian in my Discord room. So once again, you can throw that out and dismiss it, right? But I could probably, like, if I probably dug through history, there probably have been times where people have made unpopular moral decisions that were not popular at the time, that did not stay around for the long term because people rioted. Like it's not the most crazy idea to think of, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. Now, in regards to that, I mean, if we're going to talk about slavery, obviously, I mean, there was a whole civil war over it. Partly, supposedly, depending on who you ask here in the South. But the Civil War here in the United States, from 1861 to 1865. But I do see a difference, though. The difference is that today, I think our educational systems are much better compared to back then. I think if people are educated, and not just educated once, but educated constantly, like it's always thrown in your face. It's always in your face. It's always in the market. Anytime you go to the stores, you see what's going on so that you know what you're paying for. I think there would be a big change. I think that's the most important. I think I guess you'd call that cognitive dissonance, that ability to just forget what the reality really is of what's going on behind all this. I think is huge. Education is a huge part of that, and I think by actually showing the footage, it does attach emotionally because I think unless you're some type of sociopath or something, not you necessarily or anyone, but typically when you see another being in pain for for needless reasons, or what we'd call like sensory pleasure, because there's no need to consume animals, at least in a first world nation, when we have such an abundance of food. There's really absolutely zero reasons to it. If anything, it's actually detrimental to the nation itself from a financial, health perspective. I mean, global perspective, everything. So in that case, I think, as you said, I agree that education is absolutely 100% important, but I think it needs to be constantly reminded with people so that it does, so that it actually does stick. Very similar to what like the media does today. Notice,
Yeah.
the media will constantly show you certain things so that it sticks in your head.
Yeah.
It's very, very influential, and I think the same thing needs to happen with veganism.
Yeah. We just need to keep talking about it. We need to keep educating people. We need to keep having discussions. We just need to keep. We also need to keep. We also need to like reach out to people in different ways. I agree with you on that. Like, there's many different ways we can reach out to people. By the way, you should get to know me better. Like I said, I'm a very low compassion vegan. But I think we're pretty much coming to a close here. I'm not sure if you feel that, but like what I agree with. So something that you said that was very powerful is the destruction of their business. Like if we made it illegal for 4 years, the destruction financially to these companies would be catastrophic. Well, maybe not destruction, but they might switch over to plant-based alternatives.
Mm-hmm.
So that in and of itself might be worth it for that reason. But once again, I still stand on my point where I think the risk is just too great. Like I honestly, even though I'm trying not to say this to sound hyperbolic, but I really do think a riot probably would happen. In fact, I think people probably would enact violence towards non-vegans. I think people who would continue to illegally eat meat would see vegans as people who are using violence enacted upon them by the state that's unjustified. Like like because we're a tiny minority, and if we were the ones that were holding them back from their decision, a tiny minority that they're extremely ideologically opposed to, um, hypothetically, I could easily see a bunch of different types of futures that would be even more inflammatory and hyperbolic. But once again, that one point you made really stuck with me there, and like I said, I think we're coming to a close here. I don't think we have much more to say. Do you think we have much more to talk about? Because I think this was a very productive conversation. I won't lie, I was a little nervous. This is I think one of the first live stream debates I've had on this subject, and not only that, but also I really love the hell out of you too. So I was kind of definitely felt a little. I felt a little bit nerves there. Still not used to this whole live stream thing. I'm still like this is like my 10th time, and I'm still not used to it.
So this is my like fourth stream, I think. But I think you did great, man. I think you brought up some awesome points of views that I didn't even think about. I thought you were going to talk about something else, like completely. I thought you brought up some that actually made me think about it, that some of the downsides of it. But I thought you did a really good job. I really enjoyed the conversation. I guess it's something that even though we do disagree on it, we still want the same thing, which is okay. But I understand your position.
All right, so if you want, we could end the stream here. But I was hoping we could talk a little bit more about other vegan stuff for maybe like 5-10 minutes, if that's okay. Or do you want?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, man.
I mean, like I know, like I said, I brought this up before, but I'm trying to popularize my definition. I was wondering maybe I could present that to you and hear your opinion. If you don't want to, that's fine.
Go ahead.
Okay, you want to hear it?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I guess I'll just read it off from my Discord. Mind if I read the note beforehand?
Go ahead.
Okay, note. First off, values is subjective, so there's much disagreement in the vegan community. There are 5 things all vegans try to live up to, and veganism is a system of ethics with a spectrum definition. Okay, this system of ethics can also be seen as 4 values and steps changes people take towards becoming vegan. This is a philosophical, belief-based definition of ideals vegans have in common. So this is my definition of veganism. So, the first ideal, so basically number 1, vegans are people who ideally do not wish to make sentient beings suffer regardless of pleasure or use made from them. Number 2, each vegan has a personal philosophy that can be diverse for rights and or values for sentient beings. So for example, well-being and suffering, authority/protection, or freedom and autonomy. These are things that come up. Number 3, vegans wish to not make sentient beings suffer. The wish to not make sentient beings suffer creates a desire to take action against that suffering if options are available and some level of consistency. It is often achieved by acting in accordance with their personal philosophy. Number 4, this philosophy leads to trying consistently to replace products and services that cause harm and suffering to sentient beings normally judged by the comparison of the alternative. Number 5, all the above leading to a way of life that seeks to value justice, respect, and life for sentient beings above product, service, slavery, addiction, pleasure, or use made from them. Conclusion, veganism is a system of ethics with a spectrum that can fit many different values with a few key similarities. I know that was a lot. I know it was a lot. I apologize. If you go into private, you can actually see my definition there. Do you see it right there on the right on private? By the way, on public, you can actually go to comments here on the right on public, and you can actually click on them and put them up on the screen. And then you can click on them again and take them off.
Okay. Yeah, I would have to figure that out because this is like new to me. Sorry guys, we're using a new streaming service because the other one that didn't work, but with regards to that. But yeah, I can see what you said here on the private side, on the private chat there. But okay, so that's just your outlook on what veganism is?
Yeah, that's kind of my definition. So I kind of had I had problems with other definitions, such as like terms like practical as possible. Well, is obese being practical as possible? Okay, that not really. Like being obese. Mm-hmm. For example, when you start to include terms like practical as possible, what is practical? There's always something that's more practical to reduce suffering. So you sort of run into this this almost regressive, this sort of circular logic where, or maybe that's not the right term, but you sort of run into this regression, this infinite regress of there's always something else you could do more. And almost every definition I've found from veganism doesn't include everything that veganism is. And I think this is the best definition that I've heard of that fully describes what veganism is.
Well, just to let you know, it is practical to be obese today.
No, but it's not reducing suffering. Like if you're
You're right.
obese, you're consuming more calories. So being obese, being a plant-based person who's obese is, you know, maybe okay, for example, let's say we have someone who's plant-based who's skinny who eats honey once a year.
Hmm.
He might not be creating as much suffering as someone who's obese who's vegan.
I agree.
So this is a problem, like the term practical is possible. Like it's
I see what you're saying. It's too vague.
yeah. Not only that, but also it runs into other issues like kill yourself, which okay, even if you don't kill yourself, then it's obese. Then okay, well, is bodybuilding vegan? You know, it's like it. You know, it's like okay, well, you inspire other people to be vegan by bodybuilding, but then it's still debatable. So it's like any definition that I've heard so far, there's all these issues like values and rights. Not everyone values rights, and not everyone and some people just care about value, like suffering or well-being. Some people care about freedom and authority. So we run into these philosophical issues in the definition. By the way, I want to thank you for letting me talk about this because I'm trying to popularize my definition because I think it's I think it's something to believe in, and I think that's powerful philosophically.
Well, yeah, I appreciate it, man. I would actually, I'm not gonna lie to you, I would have to read it again. Like, I would actually have to like read it because you put a lot in there, and I would have to like fully, digest that or comprehend that because there was quite a bit. And I think when you say like as practically as possible, you're quoting the Vegan Society's definition of veganism. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Like when you, yeah. It's not just the vegan society. There's other definitions that have that problem. But yeah,
I,
or like I could give you other examples if you want, like some other examples of problems I have.
mhm. I'm just gonna say something real quick. I
Sure.
think the reason why they do that could be so that it's just kept as simple as possible, so that people could understand it as
I,
quickly as possible. I
I,
think that's what it is, just to get to that first step. Then that first step is to what we want, like what you and I are doing right now.
like
And
I, okay, yeah, you go. Sorry.
you get what I'm saying? And then from there, then we can start like getting into the nuances and all that stuff. We're so out of control. Like the world is so out of control, especially first world nations are so out of control when it comes to our treatment of the other sentient beings of this planet that it's insane. Yeah, I mean, it's insidious. And I mean, just looking, I mean, I don't have to tell you or any of the people in the chat here probably, but anybody who does watch this, any factory farm is insane. Like this is ridiculous that this is going on today with the resources and everything that we have today. But I think that's why it's probably put that way. Uh, but that's my
So
defense. Yeah, go ahead.
so in particularly, I mean, like you could just take number five, or maybe do a few readjustments, and you could just take number five and make a definition out of that. All above, leading to a way of life that seeks to value justice, respect, and life or sentient beings above product, slavery, addiction, pleasure, or use made from them. And then maybe just include that last little bit. Veganism is a system of ethics with a spectrum that can fit many different values and a few key similarities. Like you could just take that right there,
Mm-hmm.
and you can make a
That's
definition right off that. Like the problem I have is so like number five was partially inspired by Shadow Starshine's definition, who's kind of an anti-vegan, who decided to make his own definition just because he likes philosophy, and I think it was much better. Now, um, so like I guess even with certain terms, like it might seem practical to use that definition, but I think it actually does more harm philosophically because you can't be logically consistent. And if you're not logically consistent, how can you hold people to being a vegan? And if you can't hold people to being a vegan, then you have to acknowledge that you have cognitive dissonance. Like a joke definition that I have of veganism, and I'm not a huge fan of the vegan community philosophically, so don't take this personally. My joke definition of veganism is challenging people valuing animal rights while value animal rights while challenging people's cognitive dissonance without challenging their own. Because a lot of the vegans I talk to on the subject of veganism have a lot of cognitive dissonance of what they believe to be vegan, and I find it very difficult to try and challenge that. So actually making a solid belief system for people to believe in, I think, is very powerful.
Yeah,
Um,
and it would be very difficult. I'll tell you that much. It would be
yeah,
very difficult. Uh, but like I said, I agree with that last part there. There's a few key similarities, and I think that's what the focus is now. Um,
yeah.
Not to say that it can't evolve into something greater, like your definition that you put here. Like that's quite a bit, man. I'm gonna read it again once we're done with the stream again, and I'll let you know uh,
Idea. Yeah,
because that was a lot. That was a lot to take in, and
I DM'd you on Discord.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I see it here too. I mean, yeah, it's in the chat and everything. I know. So, but yeah, man, I think. Is there anything else that you want to add? We've been going for almost an hour. I know you've got stuff to do. I've got stuff to do.
Really quick
Yeah,
here before we go. Really quick here before you go.
yeah.
What was it? For anyone who's watching, I just want to say thank you for watching. Subscribe, hit his notification bell, share his video. If you don't share his video, you're a loser. So you can't be a loser now. So you have to share his video. You have to like, you have to hit that subscribe notification bell. You gotta do all those things, or else I'm gonna find you. And when I do, I'm going to shove salad down your throat. That's gonna be painful. Salad, real salad. So you gotta do all that, or else the vegans will find you. So yeah, that's the last thing I want to say. Thank you for having me on here. I really enjoy your content. You're charming. And most of all, what I really love about you as a person is I think you're really honest and charming. And I think you're what you're one of the things vegans need, because I think the vegan gains of the world, or the anger, can be helpful to some people to make them go vegan. But I think at the same time, we also need people who are a little bit more charming, you know? So I really enjoy your content. And I think, yeah.
I really appreciate it. I really, really do appreciate it. Every time to me, it's very flattering to find anyone that actually likes my content, because I'm still a very small channel, just like yours. But I appreciate everything. I appreciate the support. You know, I support you as well too, buddy. And I really do. All I can say is thank you, man. I really do thank everything. And the fact that people recognize a different point of view. It's still the same, message, but a different, vehicle that I use. I do appreciate that as well too. And anything I could do to help, man, just let me know. And I really appreciate it. And I put all your information in the description box. Make sure for everyone who's here, if you want to, make sure you subscribe to HSD's channel. He's very philosophical. If you like you like that type of stuff, you do get into politics every so often, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It's a little bit of, it's more so like I talk about, it's more so veganism, atheism, culture, and sexual dynamics between men and women I talk about. So it's actually a little bit
Very
about politics,
cool
but a little bit, but not a whole lot.
Gotcha. I've seen some of your stuff, man, and it's a lot of stuff. For me, it's just it makes you think a lot. Makes
like I would, oh sorry, mind if I just quickly interject really quick there?
Well, go ahead, man.
For anyone coming to my channel, I think the vegans would really like to watch the video Rondell Lockwood, A Speech on Modern Animal Crime link. I'm so sorry for cutting you off. I think that's, for anyone that might just look at my channel, that I think that's something that vegans also don't talk enough about, is the animal crime link. I think that's super powerful to talk about. I'd be willing to talk about that with you in the future, but I think it's super philosophically powerful argument for making people go vegan.
Awesome. I'll check it out. I haven't seen that video of yours, but I'll check it out. Actually, if you want to put it in the comment sections here,
well,
so people can get it. If you got it.
I mean, like I could at the end, but actually, honestly,
if you want, actually, just send it to me, and I'll put it in the description box so that.
But I could just say this before we go. For anyone that's since I brought up the animal crime link, I may as well say this. Like in short, you can join my Discord, and then I can show you to my archive. But to make it really short and simple, wherever you see humans harming animals, there is actual psychological consequences. Approximately 11% of veterinarians in one study suffered from PTSD, or well, maybe not PTSD, but traumatic stress symptoms. Mm-hmm. Slaughterhouse workers, there was a study of over 500 different countrysides, correlations of mental health problems, crime rate, 4 times more likely reported of crime rate. When it comes with kids harming animals, there's increased rates of a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, the animal crime link is a super powerful argument for any vegans that might just walk into my channel. And I'm sorry to show myself out like that. I know it sounds so selfish and egotistical, but I think this is like something really powerful, because we all have probably heard of name the trait, or like these certain types of comparative philosophical arguments on why we should care about animals. But when it comes to the animal crime link, it's an egoist type argument that is super powerful. And if anyone wants to join my Discord and actually want to hear me talk about it in detail, I can explain to somebody in detail from a more egoist standpoint, in other words, caring about yourself, on why you should care about animals.
there you have it, people. but yeah, man, I appreciate everything. I appreciate you coming onto the channel and doing the stream and the debate, and hopefully we'll be able to debate something else in the future, man.
Or whatever. We could always do this again sometime. But honestly, I'm a big fan. I've been actually on your notification bell for a long time now. So
I
yeah.
appreciate it. All right, man. So I'm gonna end the stream now. I want to thank everyone for watching. This is the Natural Hulkster and HSD checking out. I want to thank you all for watching. Please stay tuned for the next one.
All right.
All right.
So it should be somewhere on the top right to end it.